Hey everyone, Enda here, and we're just doing a little video on a concept that's quite useful in more competitive or even just in the arena. It's just a useful idea, and it's been something that you'll see me work on here, and this is an example of it not working. The idea is just status pressure. So in Dark Souls 3, for example, one of the top setups, if it was legal in a tourney, was a thing called the Rotten Grew Curve Sword with poison on it. In earlier tournaments, it was legal until people kind of figured out how strong it was, and then it slowly but surely became more and more illegal, or more consistently illegal. And the idea is you make sure that the other person never gets to, in that game it was Blossom, to make sure that they could alleviate the status, and in this game it's to Bolus, to actually get the healing out. And as you can see here, I'm doing an absolutely terrible job of keeping this this guy from bolusing, but it's a very useful idea, and I'll kind of go into what I'm doing wrong here. Obviously, in the actual arena, the ability to actually pressure someone correctly, because the arena is so big, is borderline impossible. We managed to get that hit there, and then he gets the bleed proc, which is one of the advantages to having dual statuses, is because they can only alleviate one, and if they make a blunder you can hit them with the other one, and they're kind of forced to constantly manage not one but two. That's one thing you can do. So obviously the scythe has it can apply to other weapons as well, just to be clear. You can put poison on them. On an arcane build, that build up is going to be pretty insane. You're almost guaranteed to get it. And yeah, it's a really handy thing. It also scales with latency as well, so how far the other person is from you. It's going to lead to delays in how long the actual damage comes through. You can see here this guy is quite latent, and of course in a setup that has the ability to trade with utter impunity. And I do, yeah, there you go, that's the trade. And he's already statused, and now I'm going to try and keep just close enough to him here to be able to get the, to make sure that if he does attempt to, I get some more guaranteed damage, and hopefully get some more build up. He's actually going to be pretty close to a bleed proc here as well, which is something that I'll be leveraging in a minute to kind of keep that pressure up on him. I get the tally swaps. I should have kept up the aggression there, because he did have an opportunity to bolus there. He just didn't. It was more of a skill issue, and then we pop the balloon there with the bleed proc on a trade. Risky business, but we did manage to actually get it out. So yeah, one of the concepts and a way to train this really, really well, I've done this with a couple of people over the course of the few years, is I'm just basically go, win or lose, doesn't matter. You need to stop me from bolusing. And you need to figure out how to stop me from doing it. And I, on the inverse, if I'm the other side of the equation, need to figure out how on earth am I going to actually get a bolus off and catch you off guard, even if you're close. So I'm going to keep up this tasty bit of pressure here to try and... He runs away again. I have to be careful again. The latency between us is so poor that I kind of have to play it a little bit closer. We get the bleed proc there. He's going to be built up again. We're probably going to get it again on him. But again, see how he's not looking for the opportunity to get the bolus off. He's probably quite high up in status pressure there, and then we pop the balloon again with the off wacky. So there's an awareness of how much build up that he has, I have in my head. It's not perfect. It's not a skill I've necessarily learned perfectly yet, but that is another trick that goes along with status pressures. How close are they, and how likely are they to try and get the bolus off? It can be devastating in terms of how much damage you can output, because not only do you have the constant build-up of the status, you also have the fact that they're now trying to find the opportunity, and you can mind game them from there. So if they go for the only real way to guarantee that they're actually going to get it off is to sometimes actually just pressure you directly. I thought, parries, man, no. Ugh. That would have been a good opportunity for him to actually get the bolus off there, but instead he chose to go for that particular wake up. He would have been safe. I don't think I would have had any press that would have stopped that, but I think this is just the inexperience of the player, and he's looking for these parries. And now you see, as he's looking for that, I'm looking for that. Cool. Keep up that nice tasty bit of pressure. Force him back now once again. Oof. Boom. No, I thought that would have hit. No! I feel robbed in that one. Jesus. Backstab because I'm trying to be funny. Go for an empty jump, not a good idea. You'll notice, at least in the arena, an awful lot of people actually don't go for it. So it's not... I'll probably be... Once I'm a little bit more comfortable with the Arcane build, I'll probably bring it on ladder and see if I'm actually able to do some good work. Because statuses are... not... You have to have a damn good reason not to be running some kind of status. It's extra pressure, it's extra damage. It's a whole bunch of things. And that's going to be Crowned, who's a fairly solid player. Keeping up that tasty bit of pressure. But yeah, you'll see all over the course of this for both of us. I think I actually do manage to get the bleed bolus off on this chap. I am going to be taking nuclear tier damage. I don't care. Managed to get that roll out there. We're going to be very... Myself, this is UK to Ireland, so it's going to be very, very low latency, which is very strong. And you see how I'm still existing in his space so that I can still punish pretty much anything he does with a running attack if he does go for something that's quite high commitment, which is really, really handy. That's kind of the real thing that you want to do. Try and almost manage to catch him there. That's just a skill issue. Ooh, that's a lot of damage. And then we managed to get that bleed proc, 1300 on the board. I'm fairly convinced I can win this here if I just play this patiently enough. I was full sure I was going to get another press, but unfortunately I did not. Unfork, bestie. But yeah, staying in close to your opponent, close enough that they are aware that you are going to get a punish against them. And again, it is quite difficult because, as we've seen in the first fight, they can just run away for days in the actual arena, which is really handy. And on top of that then as well, in better arenas, having that smaller space that they can actually run away to, it actually forces them to engage in even more mind games. And we keep up that pressure, manage to get a press there, get another one. So now I'm aware that he's gonna be building up, and you see, he tried to run away there to try and get a bolus off, and I just kept close enough to him that it was actually probably not worth. And I got to go for a swap, but I messed it up because I don't have this inventory memorized. Yeah, there we go. Unfork, bestie. Get that poisonous mist out. So another thing that you can do that is very, very handy and probably necessary is having access to an Ash of War that will allow you to get a punish off from a distance, which is quite useful. Very, very useful. So you, especially in Elden Ring, more so than the other games, you do have that nice thing that you can do from halfway across the arena. Just press that button and you can keep up that pressure. Now they have changed it, and you see there, I'm going to go for that, keep up that. He knows now that he can't really ball us. I do believe that there's a glitch still in the game, which is kind of unfork, bestie, that I still have the poison mist up on this, which is kind of silly when you think about it. So I keep up that pressure. I tried to go for, I'm not sure if I tried to go for a backstab there. Get some swaps off. I could have probably punished that with the beast roar. I didn't elect to. But those ashes that have the ability to hit from quite a distance are very useful to have. And now I'm fairly sure he's on pretty much his last legs. In terms of the bleed proc, I just messed up my camera management there. He does go for those swaps there. Try and go for that punish to try and catch him off guard. It didn't quite work. Go for a running attack. Keeping up that pressure. He's probably very close to that bleed proc. And there we go. People who are prepared can do an awful lot of things to keep their bar quite high, which is really, really useful. That is a huge thing that people can do. So status builds are going to be dependent on whether or not your opponent elects to go for a swap. And there we go, Total Elephant there with the GG, bro. GG's, friend. We had a couple of good fights that day. Force back now, and he's just going to kill. I don't have to respect this. I realize I don't have to respect this at all. He's going to go for a katana. I trade, and I get the bleed proc, and that's just that. If they elect to trade, and you recognize that the status is going to be quite high, you can kind of recognize with some people how well they have kind of optimized around dealing with status. Which is, again, you can kind of tell, and then make assumptions accordingly. And now we have Total Elephant once again with the GG's, bro. And, well, again, we had a couple of really nice fights here in the spins. Any spinners? Playing a solid neutral here. I go for a standing attack, thinking he's going to try and call out my roll. He does not. roll out that one there, like you wouldn't believe. Just about managed to get a outspace that particular standing R1. Oh, and we do go for a trade. Scythe has an awful lot of forward momentum to it. I think I tried to go for a backstab, and we do actually manage to get one. Yeah, there we go. And my status is actually, I'm trying these R2s just to see what they can do. And the answer is not much. I tried to go for a BS there, but he did roll out. Now, his bar is going to be a little bit higher, so I'm going to be taking that opportunity to try and get some extra status pressure. I haven't elected to Bolus here because I don't really care. That's not my main focus, and I'm fully sure that he probably has some shenanigans in his back pocket to try and punish me here if I do elect to go for it. I tried to go for the dead angle. I went for another press there, thinking he was going to maybe go for another jump. Most people don't. It's only a... It's kind of... It's one of those things that sometimes people will go for. I set up the Poison Mist again. He doesn't move in for a punish. His bar is probably quite high. And again, I'm existing in his space. I'm forcing out those rolls, even though he has hyper armor. He could just elect to press, and I don't know where my brain went there as I just ate that damage. Hungry for damage. Go for a running attack. Try and force another one. And there we go. That's what I'm looking for. I believe that he's probably going to be quite high on bleed right now. I go for that. I was just too late. This is the downside to not having those particular swaps memorized off the top of my head, and why it just takes a little bit of time. I would have had a punish there, and I would have had fairly substantial damage. And now we go for the bleed. Build up that bleed. If he goes for a Bolus here, he's dead. And then pop the balloon. Away he goes. GG's. I had some really good fights with this dude. This is a really, really fun fight to have. And hope I see him again in the future. Total elephant, ladies and gentlemen. And now we're kind of moving on here. I can't remember what this next fight is. And this is someone who just kind of presses forward. I'm not entirely sure why. One of the things as well is that status does build up through shields, just not as quickly. Status build used to, I believe at some point they used to do insane build up damage, but I think that was more so down to the game being insane at the time. We have that, we have the bleed proc, and then he tries to, I think he tries to go for a parry there. But yeah, status encourages you to not be aggressive per se, but have aggressive spacing so you're in positions to deal with things. Again, the actual arena is wild in terms of being able to do very much of anything interesting. It's too big. It's way too big. We'll probably do a conversation at some point about like what setups that the big arenas actually kill. Oh, he goes for that. I can't remember if I can jump that. Just do a quick look away there, because why the hell not? I thought I'd have another wacky there to go for just try the soft swap tech and see what I would be able to do against that. I just decided to press against hyper armor. I'm like, he won't swing again, right? No, he did, because he can. Scythe apparently has quite a bad matchup into hyper armor. I don't know this setup well enough, and I don't feel comfortable enough saying anything. All I know is that this particular weapon with this particular Ash, and I think I tried to do a roll in on them there, but I ended up just eating the shit, unfortunately. Unfork, bestie. Unfork. So yes. Is there any other things about like status in general? I suppose there's a hierarchy of status that's worth kind of mentioning, just as kind of an aside as to what you should be looking for. Bleed is probably one of the weakest ones. As to what's the strongest, it's probably Rot or even Madness. It's probably between, like, in terms of like consistent usefulness, it's probably going to be like Sleep can be jumped. Sleep, you can also stack focus, and there's no way to really increase the build up, which is Unfork. I have no idea. I try and get some damage off on them there. I'm building up that bleed bar just so I can afford to do something, but at this point I think he can just trade with me and I die. I'm trying to just... what's won me a couple of the fights there is actually managing to land a huge bleed proc. We should be built up now. I think if I hit him one more time, it is going to... the balloon will pop. So I'm trying to very, very slowly but surely build it up. And he rolls it. There you go. You can see the delay there between the two of us. It's actually absolutely insane. Ugh, disgusting. But yeah, in terms of poison is also very strong because you get decent-ish build-up on the bundles, which is huge. It's actually fucking massive how useful that is. And now we go for a roll in, not quite able to make it. I think this guy takes the round off me here. I think all he needs is like one trade, and it's over. And yeah, there you go. He trades, and then it's over. That's sad. We got him a couple of times against those spears. That's really rough. And nom. Delicious. But yeah, keeping up the pressure, staying within their periphery, understanding, having some idea of how big, how large the bar is. All of these things are pretty huge, and you can kind of guess off of by eye. And now this poor unfortunate again, who's the roll builds go strong, but I guess he's new. We all have to start somewhere. Keep up that pressure. We get the first roll catch, go for a running attack, and he's in the corner. Keep up that pressure. Manage to catch him there. And this is the power of poison when someone is low. We get that swap off. I try and get that Ash of War off, and he is dead. GG's. Someone's low. Someone doesn't have a build that's able to deal with it. There you go. That's it. That's how it works. Keep up that pressure. Remember, stay close to people. It's going to differ. It's going to be different from matchup to matchup. We bow to those. Yeah, we'll just have a quick look at the build here. This will change. I'm just kind of playing around with certain ideas at the moment as to try and ways to get that Arcane up as high as I can. So 24, of course, for Mogs, but I'll probably scrap that and go for something a bit different. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. Again, we do have a beginners tourney that we'll be doing them weekly brackets it's looking like it's going to be every other Thursday. At some point, I just need to figure out when I want to be able to do it. So every other Thursday is going to be the EU friendly hour, and everything after that, then we still need to decide the NA time slot, which we will decide hopefully before the week is out. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much. I'll see you all, and thanks again for helping me hit the 500 subscribers. Mwah, love you all. Kiss kiss.